Property taxes can be really confusing, but it's something that we all should understand as either current homeowners, buyers that are actively in the buying process, or people that are considering buying a home relatively soon. We should all understand property taxes. In today's video, I'm going to jump into property taxes. How are property taxes paid? How are they calculated? Where does all that money go to? And what can you do if you think your property taxes are wrong? Can you dispute it? Or are you just stuck paying them? What do you do if you think that they're wrong? By the way, I'm Aalia Scott, your local Kenosha Realtor. I'm so glad that you decided to stop by again today. Make sure that you hit that like button for me. It really encourages me to keep doing videos like this for you. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for me. It encourages YouTube to keep showing this video to more people like you that are looking for homes here in the Kenosha area, and so that they can enjoy this content just like you. And if you have any questions at all about the home buying or selling process, feel free to give me a call at 262-331-1621. I have home buyers and sellers that reach out to me every week just like you and ask me questions all the time about the home buying and selling process. I'm happy to help out any way that I possibly can. Now let's get into it. So first things first, we have to talk about how the city even comes up with the value of your property. So first, the city comes up with what they call the assessment of your property. So the city assigns your property a value. They send out a city assessor or town assessor or village assessor, depending on what you live in. And they send that person out to your house. They send it out to all the houses in the city or village. It's a outside visual inspection of the house. They can come inside if you allow them to come inside the house. They aren't required to come inside the house for the assessment, but if you allow them to come inside the house, they get a more detailed valuation of your house, a more accurate assessment of your house. Now that can raise or lower the assessment of your house. So it's totally up to you if you allow them inside your house. But they do a visual inspection of the outside of your house, and they do things like the condition of your house, how many bedrooms your house has. They get that information from like city data, MLS data. So if your house has ever been for sale, they get that from the MLS information. Building code inspections information. So when your house was built, the building inspector has how many bedrooms your house has, that kind of stuff. They look and see if your house has 2 stories or is a single story. If your house has a basement, they look and see if your house has a shed or a deck or an attached garage or a detached garage, and how many cars that garage is. They look and see what kind of driveway you have. Is it concrete? Is it asphalt? Is it a gravel driveway? All that stuff matters. All that stuff affects the valuation of your house. And then they look at your neighbors' houses. Are your neighbors' houses comparable to yours? Are your neighbors' houses wood siding like yours? Are they vinyl siding? Are they aluminum siding? What kind of siding are they? Are they 3-tab shingles like yours? Are they architectural shingles? Do your neighbors have metal roofing where yours only has 3-tab shingles? How are your neighbors' house conditions compared to yours? Are they similar to yours? Are they better than yours? Are they worse than yours? All that information plays a factor in the evaluation of your house. Then they also look at comparable sales in the area. So they look up the MLS data. They look at what other houses in the area are selling for. So the house 3 doors down, what did it sell for on the fair market? Did it sell for $1 million? Did it sell for $200,000? Did it sell for $100,000? All that information plays a big factor in the valuation of your house. Also, what area of town do you live in? Do you live in the downtown area? Do you live in the outskirts of town? Do you live close to a school? All this information plays a big factor in the valuation and the assessment of your house. After your assessment is done, they do something called the assessment roll. So the assessment roll is public information. Anybody can access the assessment roll. They can look up the assessment of your house. They can look up the assessment of their neighbor's house. They can look up the assessment of the house that's 5 doors down. They can look up the assessment of the house that's across town. They can see what each house is assessed at. They can compare it with their house is assessed at compared to the house that's next door to them, compared to the house that's 10 doors down, compared to the house that's across town. Whatever they want to do. It's all public information. You want to compare this assessment. Every year, look at it, make sure it's accurate. And this assessment is sent out to each individual homeowner. So typically the assessment is mailed in the mail via USPS. However, we do live in the 21st century now. So some villages and towns are now starting to just email it to you. So you gotta talk to the village clerk and see how they do it. Like Pleasant Prairie, I believe starting in 2025 is only going to email the assessment to property owners. I could be wrong about that, but I think they're only going to email it now starting in 2025. So depending on your municipality, they may only email it to you, but most villages and cities in the Kenosha and Racine area that I know of, they're all still mailing it like a physical copy to you. They mail it to you, you look at it, and you get your assessment. Once you've been mailed it or emailed it to you, you will officially receive notice of your assessment for that year. So how are taxes paid? So in Wisconsin, tax bills are sent out in mid-December, usually the second or third week of December. If you haven't received your tax bill by December 20th, you need to call your village or city clerk and say, hey, I haven't received my tax bill yet. Could you email me another copy, send it to me? I'll stop by and pick it up. Whatever, I just need to get another copy of my tax bill because I haven't received it yet. Make sure that you get another copy of it because you still owe property taxes for that year. Just because you haven't received it in the mail doesn't mean you don't owe property taxes. It just means that it either got lost in the mail, the city forgot to send it to you, or something happened to it. You still owe property taxes. It just means that you didn't get the property tax bill for whatever reason. So make sure that you get a copy of it. If you haven't received it by December 20th, typically, you want to give them a call and see if they can get you another copy. They'll be more than happy to send you another copy because the city wants their money. They want everybody to pay it, and they want everybody to pay it on time. So typically, if you have a 30-year mortgage or a 15-year mortgage or a mortgage on your house, most people escrow their taxes. That's where you make your monthly payment, and you pay a little bit extra every month, and that little bit extra goes into an escrow account. And your mortgage company pays your taxes for you at the end of the year. That's how most people that have a mortgage pay their taxes. That's how we pay our taxes, is that our mortgage company pays it for us. So by December 30th, our mortgage company pays our taxes for us. They just mail a check to the city for us. Our taxes are paid. We pay it in the current year so that we can write off our taxes for this year. So our taxes will be paid for us by the end of 2024. So we can write off our taxes in 2024. But I know some people like to have that extra control. They like to have that extra money every month. They don't like to include it in their escrow account. So they like to pay their taxes themselves. That is an option. If you like to do it that way, there is a 3-pay option, or you can pay it in full as well. So if you choose to pay it yourself, the first installment for your taxes is January 31st of the following year. So like in 2025, your first installment is due by January 31st. You can either pay it in full by January 31st, or you can pay the first installment, the first third of your property taxes for 2024. After that, the second installment is due by April 30th of 2025. And then the third installment is due by July 31st of 2025. Of course, you can pay off your full tax bill at any time before July 31st. But July 31st is the latest that you can pay your tax bill for the year. Make sure you pay your tax bill on time and by those deadlines, because if you pay it later than those deadlines, you will incur penalties and probably interest payments. Be aware that if you're behind on your taxes by 2 or 3 years, that the city can file a tax foreclosure on your house, which means that the city is taking your house from you. Basically, they are foreclosing on your house because of past due property taxes. They're going to take your house from you, they're going to foreclose on it, and they're going to sell your house at auction to pay for all of your property taxes. You may or may not get any of those proceeds at the sale. You probably won't get any because auction sales, your house typically sells for a lot less than what it's worth. And then usually if you have back due property taxes, you owe a lot after interest and fees and then lawyer fees and all that fun stuff. So you don't want that to happen. If you're starting to get behind on your property taxes, call the city, see what you can work out. Maybe call a lawyer, tell them, I'm struggling here, help me out. There's always programs out there that help you, stuff to help you out. If you have any questions, call me. I can help point you in the right direction. So what goes into your property taxes? Who takes from your property taxes and where do they go to? So the things that your property taxes pay for are the city of Kenosha. It helps run the city or the city that you live in. So I live in the village of Pleasant Prairie. So my property taxes go to run the village of Pleasant Prairie and all their public works, their fire, their police, and all their community events. Kenosha County, our property taxes go to the county to help fund the county and run all their special events and take care of all the county facilities and stuff like that. They go to the Unified School District, so whatever town you live in, if you live out in the county, so the county schools. But here in Summers, Kenosha, and Pleasant Prairie, it goes to the Kenosha Unified School District. It goes to fund the school district. Gateway Technical College, so the community college in your area. It goes to fund the community college in your area. And it goes to the state of Wisconsin. The state of Wisconsin gets a tiny little sliver of the property taxes. So each authority calculates its revenue needs based on public services, infrastructure projects, and community programs. So what's that mean? So if you love the 4th of July fireworks, you like to go downtown Kenosha by the lake and watch the 4th of July fireworks, guess what? That's paid with property tax money. They pay for that show based on property tax money. If you love all the festivals and shows that the city puts on downtown Kenosha, they pay for all that stuff with property tax money. If you love all the fun events that Kenosha does, they pay for all that stuff with property tax money. They pay for the school budget, they pay for the police budget, the fire budget. All that is paid for with property tax money. So that's why we have to pay property taxes. So how are property taxes calculated? So I am terrible at math. I really hate numbers. So I had ChatGPT calculate this for me. So the rate calculation is like this. Total tax levy plus total assessed property value equals the tax rate. So example, a 1 million tax levy on 100 million in assessed property value equals a tax rate of $10 per $1,000 assessed value. So your bill would look like this. The tax rate is applied to your property's assessed value. For example, a $200,000 home with a $10 rate equals $2,000 in taxes. So for example, if your home is valued at $200,000 by the city, your property taxes for that year would be $2,000. That's how they calculate all that stuff. I'm terrible at math. I hate numbers. I kind of understand this. If I stared at this long enough and did enough research, I would totally understand this. If you understand this more than I do, drop it down here in the comments. Let me know. Explain it to me, because I would love to understand it better. Knowledge is power. And the more knowledge I have, the more power I have. And just love to know stuff. So where does all that tax money go to? We kind of touched on this a little bit ago, but let's dive a little bit deeper into this. So a majority of the property tax money goes to the school district in your area. So in our area, the Kenosha Unified School District. Probably because the Kenosha Unified School District is so big, they employ so many people, they have so many students that come through the school district, employees, I guess you could call the students almost. And this school district has so much overhead that they have to pay for. They have the school building maintenance, they have the school supplies to buy, the school books, all the computer programs, the computers to maintain, the school lunches to buy, all the expenses that the school has to pay for. That is all paid for by property taxes. Transportation costs, they pay for, some families can't afford school fees at all. So those are covered by property taxes when they just don't pay the fees. The school district doesn't take those families to court and recover those fees. They just eat those costs. Next, the city. So the city of Kenosha takes a big chunk of your property taxes. Now that goes towards funding city services. So like your fire department, your police department, and your public works department. So your police department, obviously, we need the police department. So public safety, they use those funds for like improving their fleet of cars. Cars get old. They need new police cars. They need new uniforms. In 2024, I believe, their big initiative was new body cams. They did a big push for body cams for all the police officers. I believe that was 2024. Maybe it was 2023. I don't remember exactly when that was. But that was one of their biggest budgetary expenses was new body cams for all the police officers. Fire department in Kenosha. So if you see all the ambulances driving around Kenosha, if you notice the back ends, they kind of ride a little bit lower on some of the ambulances. It's because the ambulances in Kenosha, they have air ride suspensions. It means that the back ends, they drop down to help load the patients in a little bit easier. Then they're supposed to rise up. They're air ride suspensions. But a lot of the ambulances in Kenosha, they're so old that those air ride suspensions are not working properly anymore, and they just can't be fixed. So the city of Kenosha is trying to replace all of those ambulances. But ambulances are really expensive. They're like $200,000 to $500,000 a piece. So it takes them a little while to replace all those ambulances. They're replacing the really bad ones first and then just going down the line. So it takes them several years to replace them all. I think Kenosha has between, I want to say 15 and 20 ambulances. I'm honestly not too sure. It may only be like 12 ambulances. I'm not entirely sure how many they have. But they have a lot of ambulances for the whole city. And then obviously Public Works. Every city needs a Public Works department. A city would not operate without the Public Works department. The Public Works department is what keeps the city operating. Who else would come at 2 o'clock in the morning and fix a water main break in the dead of winter when it's -2 degrees outside? Public Works does that. Who else cuts the grass in the parks every week in the summertime and springtime? Who else clears the snow during the wintertime? Public Works does that. Public Works is the backbone of every city. They keep the city running smoothly. They pick up the trash every week. We love the Public Works department. A city would not operate without the Public Works department. They are definitely the unsung heroes of every single city. They are underappreciated. They are not given enough credit. I love the Public Works department, and they are definitely not paid enough. Kind of like teachers. Next, Kenosha County gets a little sliver of your property taxes. Kenosha County, most of that money goes towards like Kenosha County roads and then the parks. So obviously the roads like A, B, O, C, those are all county roads. So Kenosha County uses the money to fix county roads. And then also Kenosha County uses your property tax money to maintain parks. So Petrifying Springs, a park that me and my family love, Kenosha County uses your property tax money to help maintain that park. So if you love to golf there, they use property tax money to help maintain the golf course there. They maintain the park space there, the trails there that everybody loves to hike on, the green space there that all the kids play on. They maintain all the walking paths, the pavilions that people rent out. They use the property tax money to maintain that there. The Wi-Fi there, they use the property tax money to maintain the Wi-Fi there and keep all the routers working properly. Gateway Technical College. So Gateway Technical College, obviously they charge tuition for the students there. So they're pretty self-sufficient. However, because they charge a reduced tuition and they have staff there obviously that they pay, sometimes they do go into the red a little bit, and the property tax money, they just help maintain them in the black. The property tax money just kind of fills in the holes and gaps where their tuition falls short. So if Gateway Technical College is ever short on money, where they just don't take in enough income for whatever reason, property tax money kind of comes to the rescue and saves them from falling into the red and becoming bankrupt and insolvent. Because we need a community college. Because who doesn't love paying a reduced tuition for their prerequisites before going off to a big 4-year college and spending tens of thousands of dollars on a 4-year degree? You know, I love going to community college and spending a lot less money there as opposed to a big 4-year college. So we love community college, and I personally love helping to support it with my property taxes. And lastly, the state of Wisconsin takes a little tiny sliver of your property taxes. So they mostly use your property taxes for some state road projects, mostly like interstate road projects, and then also for state parks. So like Bong Recreation Park in Kenosha and Racine counties, they use your tax money to help maintain that park. Keep the grass cut, keep the trees trimmed back, keep the campsites all looking pretty, keep the trails looking nice, and all that fun stuff. So what do you do if you think your property taxes are wrong? So the time to dispute your property taxes are when you get your assessment in the spring. So typically you get your assessment in the spring, like April, March-ish, then you pay your property taxes in the winter, around December, or in December, not around, but in December. But the time to dispute your property taxes is when you get your assessment. So if you get your assessment and you think your assessment is way off, make sure you look at your assessment. Compare your assessment to similar properties. Look at your neighbor's assessment. Is your neighbor's house similar to yours? Are you both ranch houses? Are you both 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths? Do you both have vinyl siding? Do you both have a basement? Are both of your assessments similar? They probably won't be exactly the same because, you know, assessors do have little tiny differences. Like maybe your neighbor has a deck, whereas you don't. Maybe your neighbor has a 2-car garage and you don't have a garage at all. Maybe you have a shed in your backyard and your neighbor doesn't. So those little differences make a little bit of a difference in your assessment. Now you don't want to compare your little 1,500 square foot ranch to a huge 2-story, 3,500 square foot house, because those aren't comparable properties. But you do want to compare your property to similar properties that are like yours and compare them. Now, if you're comparing your assessment to other houses that are similar to yours, and your assessment is way off compared to other assessments, then there's probably an issue there and you want to dispute it. So how do you do that? So you complete the Objection to Real Property Assessment form, a PA 115 form. You get that from the city clerk's office here in Kenosha. So this form, the PA 115A form, is specific to Kenosha. Your city or village has a form that is just like this one. It just may be called something different. You have to call your village or city clerk and ask them, how do I dispute my property taxes? I want to dispute them. They will tell you the form. They will email it to you. They'll have you stop by and pick it up, whatever their process is. But they'll be happy to give it to you. They shouldn't put up any fight to give you the form to dispute your property taxes. So once you fill out the form, you submit it to the Board of Assessors for review. So once the Board of Assessors have it, they look at it, they compare your property to other properties, and they'll either say, yes, we agree with you, we'll lower your assessment, or we'll raise your assessment sometimes if you want your assessment raised maybe. Or no, we don't agree with you. Too bad, so sad. Your taxes are staying exactly where they are. So if you don't agree with the Board of Assessors' opinion, you think that they should have either lowered or raised your assessment, you can file an appeal within 15 days of the board's decision. So if you file an appeal, you have to go in front of like a panel, present your case. You have to present evidence. So you have to bring evidence such as like comps of similar home sales in the area, any improvements you've made to your house that supports your valuation of your house, pictures of your house and your neighbors' houses as to why your house should be valued differently. And it's almost like a mini court case, but it's not in court. It's in front of a assessor's valuation panel. So some tips for homeowners. So monitor your property's assessed value yearly to catch errors early. So when you get the assessment every year, make sure you check it over. Make sure there's no errors to it. Make sure that you look it over. Just make sure that you check it. I had a client that got their yearly assessment and it said that they had a basement, but they didn't have a basement. Their house was on a slab. So they called me and said, Chad, my assessment says that I have a basement, but I don't have one. What do I do? So I pointed him in the right directions. He disputed his assessment and he won. I actually got him like $1,500 off of his property taxes for that year. So it is actually worth it sometimes. But if you catch any errors, make sure that you file the dispute early and often, because assessors are human. They do make mistakes, and if you don't allow them in the house, they don't always know everything. Tip number 2, keep records of any significant changes, any renovations, or any damages that might affect the value of your house. So if you had a tree that fell through the roof of your house and then insurance made a repair to your roof, keep records of that. If you had a windstorm that came through and blew out all the windows of your first floor, keep records of that. If you remodeled the first floor and totally redid the bathrooms or the kitchen, keep records of all that. All of that stuff can help your case if you ever have to go in front of the board of review when you're fighting an assessment. And lastly, tip number 3, if all this stuff confuses you and you just don't know how to read your assessment or your property tax bill, contact me. I'd be happy to walk you through it, explain it to you, give you any tips or tricks, point you in the right direction, give you some advice. I do it all the time. I'm happy to help out. It doesn't bother me. I always have time for everybody. Just give me a call, shoot me a text, or send me an email. All my contact information is down below here in the description of the video. I'm happy to help. It really doesn't bother me. Property tax bills should be coming out here really soon if they haven't already. So make sure that you contact me if you have any questions at all. I'm really happy to help. So we covered a lot in today's video. We covered how property taxes are assessed, paid, where the money goes, and what to do if you think there's an error in your property tax assessment. If you guys have any questions at all, go ahead and drop it down here in the comments. Give me a call, shoot me a text, or send me an email. I'm happy to help out any way that I possibly can. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, go ahead and give me a like. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And if you have any questions at all about buying or selling a house here in the Kenosha area, make sure that you reach out to me. My number again is 262-331-1621. I have buyers and sellers reaching out to me every single week, just like you, asking me questions about buying and selling. I'm happy to help any way that I possibly can. I hope that you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.